As we've been studying Native American art, we have been looking at baskets. And so to do our own little baskets, we're going to learn something called cup weaving, where we take yarn and we weave it in and out through a little cup to make our own basket. So to begin, I'll be giving my kids these little Dixie cups, and at the top I have pre-marked 7 dots on there. You have to have an odd number. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be 7, but you have to have an odd number. You're going to take and cut this all the way down to the bottom of the cup on each dot. Sometimes this is a little tough for the kids to do with their scissors, so if you have time and you would want to pre-cut these, that would be all right too. Okay, so you have this cup with 7 slits and you're ready to weave. We like to start with a yarn that is the length of our arm. That way it's not too short and not too long. So we're going to start with a little tail, and we're going to tuck the little tail in one of those slits all the way down to the bottom. Just a small tail inside, and our long string is out here. Don't make that one too long. You don't want to be trying to weave with 2 strings at once. So a short one inside, a long one outside. I like to hold my string right here up close to the cup. Sometimes kids will try to hold it way back here and do it like they're sewing, but they usually end up getting tangled. I think it's a lot easier to hold your string up close. And the way you do weaving is it's just a pattern. Inside, outside, inside, outside. So the way that looks is we're going to find the next slot and we're going to put the string inside the cup. Then we find the next slot and we come outside the cup. And then we're going to give it a little gentle tug down so that way this string is touching the cup and there's no big loop sticking out of it. Sometimes you have to hold that string on the very first one so that way it doesn't pop out. So inside, outside. Okay, right here I'm outside. Find the next slot and I go inside. Find the next slot and I come outside. And give it a gentle tug down every time I come outside. So the pattern goes inside, outside, tug it down. That's how I like to say it. Inside, outside, tug it down. Now you might notice the very first time you go around that it skipped one. So here's your string, empty spot. Here's a string, empty spot. But look what's happening on the second pass. I'm starting to fill in those gaps, okay? So now I'm inside, outside, tug it down. Inside, outside, tug it down. Now I want you to know that I am gently pulling downward and I'm not pulling sideways. Because what happens if you, especially when you get up a little higher, if you pull that string sideways really tight, your cup will do this. And that just doesn't look very pretty. We want our cup to keep its form as we go. So it's just inside, outside, tug it down. Inside, outside, tug it down. And if you accidentally end up with a big loop like this after you've tugged it down, you might have to go inside and pull a little bit on the inside, or you could just give it a gentle tug out here to make that laying flat on your cup. Inside, outside, tug it down. Inside, outside, tug it down. Gentle tugs. Inside, outside, tug it down. Okay, now here's a few things to watch for. You see how there's gaps right here? You can take those and just push them down, and that's called combing. Whenever you weave, you always want your yarn to be touching each other. So you don't want any big gaps showing. So we're going to comb tightly like this as we work. Inside, outside, tug it down. Comb if you need to. Now one thing that sometimes people will do is they'll go inside and then they kind of forget where to go and they'll go way across and come outside. And if you look in your cup and you've got a string going straight across, that means you have skipped all these. So you don't want to go straight across like that. You're always looking for the very next slot. Inside, outside. So that's where I go, tug it down. Another thing that sometimes people do is they start going backwards. So I've been working this way this whole time, and then sometimes they might go, okay, now I'm going to start turning my cup this way. And then they end up with a whole bunch layered up on one, and they might only have just one or two on another one. Okay, so you got to be careful that you're always turning your cup the same direction. Inside, outside, tug it down. Okay? Now I've got one here that is ready for a new string. So I want to show you how to change the string. You can see I ended on the outside. Inside, outside, tug it down. Inside, outside. Oh, I'm about out of string. Okay, you can leave that on the outside, but I think it looks better if you go ahead and make sure that it ends on the inside. And that way you don't have to cut anything on the outside later. So I just tuck that in there. Now I have my new string. It's about an arm's length. I can see where I ended right there with the brown one. And I'm just going to come to the next slot available. And I'm going to just start again like I did at the very beginning. A little tail on the inside. Work up close and continue on. Now you might have to hold this first time in place so you don't accidentally jerk it out of your cup. But inside, outside, gently tug it down. You might have to hold it in place so you don't pull it all the way out. And you just keep on going like nothing ever happened. Inside, outside, tug it down. Inside, outside, tug it down. And pretty soon you're going to be an expert at this. Usually the first day is a little confusing. By the second day, people do about 20 rows. And the third day, all you have to do is just finish it up. You may end up with a few little pieces that you need to trim from the inside. And if some of you may have some that stick out on the outside, just take your scissors and snip those off. If any of your cup is still showing like the design on the bottom, you can take a little Sharpie and color that in, and it'll make it look really nice and beautiful. But that's basic cup weaving right there.